The following podcast contains strong language. Hello and welcome back to the Ciné Rambles podcast. You're listening to Nick
and Andrew,
and we're here with your weekly fix of film-related ramblings. So how have you been doing, Andrew? Have you been surviving lockdown okay?
Yep, I'm pretty good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Not been watching quite as many films as I've been meaning to, but...
No. I've sort of tapered off as well, actually. I've been watching a couple of bits, but I've been playing video games mostly.
Yeah. Okay, right, before we get on to our main show, I've got some correspondence to answer.
Woo! Correspondence.
Ooh. Yeah.
And it's not from Ross.
Or Penny.
Or Penny.
Yes, this is the comment left on our Avatar video by Igbo. I feel like I'm almost certainly saying that wrong, but...
Probably.
Yeah. So he writes, "You must have missed the 90s. There were many live-action films that were made into cartoons. Beetlejuice, The Mask, Ace Ventura, Ghostbusters, Men in Black, etc. I assume that you might not have seen these due to you not being American, unless you mean a live-action film being adapted into an animated film." So he's referring here to our discussion. We're talking about the Disney live-action remakes. Live-action. We don't really see the reverse happening of live-action films being remade into animated films.
Yeah.
So he raises an interesting point about the sort of the 90s boom of cartoons, of live-action series.
Yeah.
Which I was sort of vaguely aware of, but like as he says, we didn't really get them over here.
Well, yeah. Neither. I mean, he's right on both counts. We weren't around in the 90s, and we weren't American, so...
Yeah. But it is an interesting point worth raising.
Yeah.
It's not what we were talking about, because what I mean is, like, we don't see... In the same way the new Lion King is a direct, like, shot-for-shot remake of the original, but just in live action. Action. We don't really see, like...
I could hear the air quotes in your voice, Nick.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Got to work with the medium if you got. What I will say there is that does touch on one point about, so that's converting what are generally sort of like Beetlejuice and Ghostbusters. Well, they do have slight appeal to younger generations, are primarily aimed at older audiences.
Yeah.
But they saw, here's a chance to make more money if we aim a version of it at kids.
Yeah.
Which is the one thing that really...
Of all the ones he's mentioned, the only one I've got a vague awareness of and have seen bits of is the Men in Black cartoon.
Yeah.
And I've seen, again, very small bits for that. But what we should point out is that isn't a remake. It's a continuation of the story.
It's a spin-off, yeah.
Specifically
aimed at selling merchandise as well. That's the one, again, like going back to sort of the mistreatment of animation as an art form. There's this prejudice that it's like only useful for getting children, like young children, interested. And like, there seems to be this use that's almost like a disposable method of like trying to get an audience in. That's like it's like filler content to run alongside the main films.
Yeah, and that's shouldn't be the public opinion.
Absolutely not. No. But thanks for your comment, Ibe Digbo. Very.
I mean, that's good though, but because that does raise a point, and obviously, the best point he raises is that there are obviously hundreds of thousands of shows that we haven't seen that probably do cover half the bits we're complaining about, isn't it?
Yeah, and I imagine just with the sheer volume of films that exist, there almost certainly is at least one live action remake of an animation or something. No, sorry,
because there is
one like animated remake of a live action. I'm sure someone has tried it.
Yeah,
like some form of like rotoscoping. I don't know.
Because I do believe, actually, now thinking about it, I believe there is a animated remake of Titanic.
Right. If we're thinking the same film, that's not a remake.
I mean,
it's also a travesty.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe we should do that next week.
Or have to track down a copy of it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's like more than one, isn't there? Which is the worst.
Yeah, I think there's loads.
At least two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just talking about Disney quickly.
Yeah.
I watched Inside Out
Ah, finally.
finally. And I also watched Tangled. Inside Out's fantastic.
Indeed.
Also, what I found really strange about Inside Out, it seemed to be a strange like amalgamation of all of the like really popular American sitcoms. Like all the actors have just come together. Like it's got Amy Poehler in it and Bill Hader and
Yeah.
what's her name? She plays Kelly in The Office. That's all I can reckon.
I haven't seen The American Office, so I
I
couldn't
think her
help
name
you
is
there.
Mindy something. But you know, it's got all of these random actors that are from all of these different things, and it works very well.
Yeah.
I did like it. Surprisingly, it didn't make me cry.
No.
Oh no, that's
Well,
not true. It did make me cry. That's a lie.
okay. So without spoiling the ending, if we go back to what I was saying originally about Inside Out, in terms of its sort of... What was I saying about Inside Out?
Yeah. I was just like, what the fuck were you getting?
My mind went blank. Because, but I was trying to make a point about it compared to Onward, I think. I think,
Yes.
yes. You haven't seen Onward yet either, have you?
No.
Okay, this is going to be probably just as useless a conversation.
Yeah, after your review of Onward, I just can't be bothered.
Okay. Oh, okay. But so my point was, like, I didn't cry at Onward, but I think because Onward's sort of crying moment is quite a specific... It targets a very specific area, which I feel like if
It's
you haven't
like-
had personal experience with, you won't get it. But with
Yeah.
Inside Out, I think it makes me cry and makes more people cry generally because it's a much broader thing it covers.
Yeah.
Would you?
I mean, there's
having
two
seen
very,
that-
very heart-wrenching moments in it, I think.
Yeah.
One of which didn't make me cry. Obviously, it was sad, but I was just like, okay. But then the second one, you know, the very end of the film was just like, oh, that's a big owie.
Yeah. That's about right.
But also, I think what it does so fantastically well, Inside Out, is during the whole thing, like, you always, what I was thinking at least, was like, oh, I wonder who runs my brain, you know? Or, you know, I wonder, oh, what are my core memories?
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And I was like, it was a good film. I really
It's
did
sort of an
enjoy it.
interesting, almost like a platform for leaping off into your own introspection to think about, you know, how you tick, I guess. Not
Yeah.
that it's particularly accurate.
Oh, just quickly, also, Sadness is played by Phyllis, who is also in The Office.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the other person I should have remembered. But yeah, there was some excellent bits in it. And so
Yeah.
obviously I also watched Tangled as well.
Tangled's
is,
a really good film.
yeah, I enjoy Tangled. It's decent.
Because I've started sort of trying to rewatch, or even just watch, like, all the animated classics of Disney. Just because
Yeah.
as an animation sort of guy, I feel like I probably should. And a lot of them I've never seen.
Yeah.
And so far, Tangled is probably my favourite one that I've seen of them.
Thing is, the first time I watched Tangled, so this is the second time I've seen Tangled. The first time I
Okay.
watched it, I enjoyed it a lot more than this time.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, I don't know. Like the first time I watched it, it didn't make me cry, you know,
It got to you.
there was a lump in my throat.
Yeah.
Whereas the second time around, I was just like, oh, whatever. I just like,
Don't care anymore.
it's not that I didn't care, it's just like, oh, I know the ending. So that sort of ruined it for me. Not ruined it for me, but it's just made that moment, that specific moment that I'm sure everyone who's seen it knows what I'm talking about. Do you know what I'm talking
I'm now
about,
trying to
Nick?
remember what moment you're talking about.
I mean, it's quite an important moment.
I imagine it is.
Shall I just say and then you can cut it out?
I mean, yeah, you can just tell me off camera. Off camera? Just... Yes, right. I know that moment. I've only seen it once, and it was a little while ago.
But what I did want to just say is we slag off Disney a lot. But I don't think we compliment Disney enough.
I would like to clarify, I don't hate Disney content necessarily. I hate them as a company more than anything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot
yeah.
of talented people working for Disney who are fine and have no role in the way the company's run and are just doing their job and doing it very
Yeah.
well and making some great films.
Yeah.
But I hate the company itself.
But
I do want to make that clear while we're
yeah,
here.
yeah. But we don't highlight that. Whereas we're very, very quick to highlight the poor ethics of Disney.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But just some of the animation, like the talent, is incredible. I think. And Tangled, especially, like the detail of the hair, is incredible. And like, obviously, like the whole thing is about hair, but they really, really went for it, and it's just like the hair. You know, the texture, the way it moves, like it's got this very real quality, and it looks incredible for animation. It's like that.
It reminds me of when they made Frozen. There was a lot of videos going around showing like the sheer effort they put into like modeling realistic snow physics.
Yeah,
And like they get all this snow into like whatever studio, and they'd spend ages like sort of applying various forces to it and doing various things to try and work out exactly how it moves in all sort of scenarios, so they can model it perfectly. And I think they probably did something similar with the hair. And I think it is great that sort of level of detail and effort they'll put into that.
but it's like, I know this isn't really a fair comparison because they're completely different media, but they are doing sort of the same thing. I remember, when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out,
Yeah.
everyone shat the bed about how amazing the graphics were on that, and then rightly, the graphics are incredible. But specifically the hair, like each hair is like individually rendered or something, and it's like, obviously that's amazing, but I feel like Tangled did that 10 years ago.
Yeah. Although there is the argument, of course, that to do it in a video game is in some ways a lot more difficult, because in a film you have only specific shots to do. On a video game, you sort of have to have it work
obviously.
all times,
and on a home machine.
Yeah, and account for like how it might, every possible situation where the film is like, oh, it's only ever going to do these things, for example.
Yeah,
we only have these scenes planned. Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say, like, those things are very good about it, and you can see, like, even the difference between I know Tangled and Inside Out are different, aren't they? Because one's Disney Pixar and one's just Disney.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
But even between them, which I think is 6 years, is it 5, 6 years, maybe a bit more?
Yeah. So Inside Out was 2015. I think Tangled was certainly 2009 or 10. I think.
Yeah. Just looking it up quickly, 2010 it was. Yeah, so 6 years.
5 years.
5 years. Nailed it.
Great maths.
Yeah, quick maths. But the difference in looking at them, say on Riley, the little girl in Inside Out, like,
yeah,
again, the incredible hair detail on her, they're just getting better and better and better, and it's like, I mean, as much as we hate it, look at the most recent Lion King. Although that's, well, is it different? I don't know.
Well, I mean, it'll work differently because it's, as opposed to being animation, because it's live action. But they'll have to model it in a different way. Yeah, I mean, that is, I suppose
Nick, they actually caught a load of lions and trained them. They managed to teach. Believe. Yeah, they managed to teach like 5 lions how to speak English. For some reason, they've all got American accents
and sound identical to some really famous celebrities.
Yeah,
actors.
Yeah. Well, you see, James L. Jones had a direct connection with his lion. Like every day, he'd just talk to it until the lion picked up his voice.
Didn't one of the actors for the role actually undergo surgery to become a lion, as I recall?
Yeah, that was Donald Glover.
That was it, Donald Glover. Yeah, what a great sacrifice. I mean, that really is someone just giving their life completely for a role.
I mean, he's been poached now, so he's not in anything else. But
I mean, he had a good run, had a really good career.
Yeah, really good 300-meter run before the rifle went off.
Oh, that's how it is,
Such a shame. Christ. Can you keep that in?
Of course I'm keeping that in.
Okay.
Before we finish this topic,
yeah,
Tangled or Frozen?
Every fibre in my being is saying Tangled, but
there is a correct answer here.
thing is, when Frozen came out, I saw it. I thought it was okay, and then the bigger and bigger it got, the more and more I hated it. Like, I haven't seen that film since, I don't know, 2015 maybe, 2014, when did it come out?
It came out in 2013, right on the tail end of it, I believe.
Okay, probably 2014 then.
Okay.
Whereas obviously I watched Tangled last week, so
So recency dictates Tangled.
yeah. I just want to say Tangled, like, I remember enjoying Tangled a lot more. I feel like Tangled's got a lot more charm to it. And I feel like that's almost entirely to do with Zachary Levi, who plays Flynn Rider. I just don't know, like, I feel like he's brilliant in that.
Yeah.
Whereas in Tangled, there's so much of it that I absolutely despise.
Do you mean Frozen?
In Frozen, there's so much of it that I absolutely despise, almost entirely encapsulated by Olaf.
Yeah.
I just don't think I like Josh Gad at all.
Did you like him in Book of Mormon?
Well, I mean, when I saw Book of Mormon, it wasn't Josh Gad, so...
Oh, that's a good point. Okay. But you haven't listened to, like, original soundtrack then?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
But I saw him, in the Beauty and the Beast remake. He's in that as well.
Oh, is he?
And I find him just unbelievably irritating. Just, I hate his voice so much. And I just find nothing he says funny. Olaf is so incredibly annoying. It just makes me hate it. I feel like the song in Frozen is nowhere near as good as everyone is cranked out to be. And the songs in Tangled are okay. Very forgettable, I think.
Yeah.
But at least they're not overrated. Massively, massively overrated.
I mean, you are correct. With Tangled is the better film.
I do think so.
Believe. I think the thing is, Frozen always to me felt, because I have seen it, and it just felt really generic. Like, as I've said before, I think if it didn't have Let It Go, I think it would have been, it would not be anywhere near as famous as it was without that one song. But I think you caught on something there of Olaf, and I think that's a big part of it. Is the sort of the comic relief in Tangled is between sort of Flynn and the horse. I can't remember the horse's name, but the horse is silent.
Galahad? Is that what the horse is called? No,
sure.
No,
you've seen it more recently.
Yeah, and I can't remember.
I think having like silent comic relief characters in the past have been like a really winning formula. Like think of like Gromit and Wallace and Gromit, and like it reminds me of that.
Maximus is what the horse is called. Sorry.
Okay, and like I mean there is that moose in. Is it a moose in Frozen?
Yes.
Like, which sort of tries to do the same thing, but it just doesn't.
A reindeer. Is he a reindeer or a moose?
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's probably a reindeer. But like, so they're sort of going. They almost feel like trying to recapture that in a way. And I know they've got what's his face in Frozen, who's also supposed to be the equivalent of Flynn, but isn't anywhere near as hasn't got enough of the personality to really reflect that.
I feel like again. I mean, does that come down to the actor or is it the writing? Do you think? Because do you know Zachary Levi?
Not much, no.
Have you seen Chuck?
Chucky?
No, Chuck.
Chuck, no.
The series Chuck.
I have not.
No, because he's in that and he's brilliant in that. So I was obviously, I was a massive fan of Chuck, which I knew before I saw Tangled, which is genuinely one of the only reasons I actually saw Tangled was because he was in it. And I think he's my favourite part of it. Him and the chameleon. I love the chameleon.
Yeah. I think as well, so the thing is, so if you think about like in Frozen, the main dynamic that the film hinges around is like Elsa and Anna.
Yeah.
But they're not actually together for a lot of the film.
No.
And like the other characters are all relatively secondary and not as well developed. But we spend most of the film with them, I feel. So it just never really has that one. And like in Tangled, where like Flynn and, do you say Maximus?
Maximus, yeah.
And like Rapunzel and all that are there together. Like, they're always there together as this core group.
Yeah.
So we have much more chemistry and characterization. We get more involved with them because we're always with them together and getting that back and forth.
Also, in Tangled, the villain, the mum, I can't remember what her name is.
Yeah. Mother Goss something.
Yeah. But she is...
Gothel, that's it.
Yes. She is so, like, evil. She's so horrible. And she's so manipulative and awful, you know. and she's so selfish and like twisted. All of what Rapunzel says, and it's like, oh, she's an asshole.
Yeah.
Whereas she's such a good villain in that.
Yeah,
Whereas in
exactly.
Frozen, I can't even remember the villain's name.
Well, of course, the famous problem with Frozen is it's one of the many twist villains that Disney have been doing recently.
Yeah,
So instead of having like how they always did was have this very iconic villain who's always a villain throughout the entire thing, and so they get their like the full length of the film to sort of shine in their sort of dreadfulness.
yeah.
Frozen, along with things like Zootopia and Moana to a slight extent, have done this thing where they don't reveal their villain until basically the third act,
Yeah.
and therefore their villain isn't memorable, isn't developed. You know, outside the one scene was like, oh, it was them.
Yeah.
It's that, you know, has no other impact at all besides that.
So I feel like things that's not necessarily a bad story trope, is it?
It's not. It's by no means a bad thing, but it does mean your villain, in a lot of cases, will be
feel like-
forgettable.
Yeah, but to have that work, I feel like you need a double agent almost. You know, you need a villain, and then you need a villain's double agent, don't you?
Yeah.
To
the thing
have
is,
that
well,
work,
like-
and then you have the great villain and the great betrayal.
Yeah.
I feel like that works more than just having the villain be the double agent and that's it. You know?
I mean, I do quite like. So there is the thing in Frozen about like, oh, of course, you shouldn't marry someone you've barely known, and then of course,
I do want to talk about that quickly after your point as well.
Okay,
I've
that's
got
fine,
something
cool.
to say about that.
Sure, I was gonna say because like that in itself is like a fine little turning on its head. Like I don't mind that as a thing. It does mean the villain's weak, but I like the idea of it. But like if I don't think you've seen Zootopia, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
But like in Zootopia, okay. So without spoiling, Zootopia, it's a twist villain again,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have that kind of through line as to why it would be a twist. It's basically for the sake of having a twist, and to make the twist work, they like choose a character who's deliberately in the background and no one ever notices or pays attention to. So it's like, oh wow, it was them. We would never have suspected them. It's like, yes, I also don't really care about them. Don't know masses about them. They're just like they don't strike fear into my heart. Like it's.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do a twist, at least do it with like a character who's like really there, like do one of the main central characters, kind of thing.
I mean, and to be fair, that is what Frozen does.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like Frozen is, even though it's got a twist in it, it's not. It's sort of doing it in a way that sort of works, just not brilliantly. I don't know. It's not.
Also,
too
I
bad.
just feel like again, I just cannot remember his name, but he's not even at
Hans?
the end. Hans, maybe.
So these, it's a good guess.
Sure, close
I'm
enough.
sure there's
Why
one
not?
character called Hans in there.
Yeah,
I
why
don't know
not?
which one.
Even when he does reveal him like self, it's like okay, he's not. Just doesn't feel evil. You know, at no point is he like. Obviously, he's trying to kill them, but it's like okay. Whereas, if you compare that to say, Tangled, well, what I was going to compare it to was Aladdin. If you look at Jafar, who was so
Right.
undeniably evil throughout, you know, such a brilliantly dastardly villain.
Not to mention with Jafar, because he's sort of he could be a twist villain because he's like, you know, the king's vizier, isn't he?
Yeah,
But like because we see it as the audience, we've got the dramatic irony that we've seen him and know he's the villain, and we
Yeah.
see him like trying to twist the king,
yeah,
and that works nicely and sort of can still be. Well, it's not really a twist to the audience, but it's a twist to the characters maybe.
yeah.
But if you want to meet it halfway, that can work. Yeah.
Which is again, this is a strange comparison. That's something that Hannibal does incredibly well. You know, like I was saying last week, like that dramatic irony of we know they're the villain, and the joy from watching them comes from watching them manipulate the good guys.
Yeah.
So what I did want to say about Frozen, so when Frozen came out, there was this big hullabaloo about how it was the first Disney film, Disney princess film, where the Disney princess didn't fall in love and marry the first person she meets. This isn't true, right?
Are you going to say Aladdin?
Well, Mulan,
Okay. Yeah.
they don't get married. At the end, he comes to her house and is like, yo, do you want to have a date? And she's like, okay. And then it ends. You know,
To be fair, I think Mulan would be stronger without that.
yeah. But I just feel like they tagged that on the, like, yeah, you could cut that scene off the end and that film would be perfectly serviceable, wouldn't it?
Because especially considering she goes through most of the film pretending to be a man, I feel that relationship would work much better being platonic.
Yeah.
I don't know, it gets weird otherwise and feels
Yeah.
forced. But yeah, But they,
But
yeah,
also,
true. They don't get married.
also, Brave, a film
Yeah.
which is literally entirely about someone who refuses to fall in love with the first person.
Well, the only thing is because Brave is Pixar rather than Disney Studios,
Yes, I suppose, yeah.
so maybe. Well, at this point, that's splitting hairs.
Aladdin is an interesting one because, again, she rejects all these other princes, but, I mean, she does then fall in love with Aladdin, so that's...
True, but I mean, the point is, there's that big scene where she like tells them all off for like trying to arrange who she should fall in love with, and like I'm not surprised to one. I think it's the line.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, there's definitely progress at least there, and nothing else.
Yeah. It just annoys me that people like to ignore history to prove a point, or to say that they are the first or whatever.
Well, because Disney keeps doing that with like openly gay characters as well.
Yeah.
Because I can't remember if we talked about this before, but an Onward is like, oh, it's the first openly gay Disney characters. Like, I'm sure you've said that on other things as well.
Yeah, Josh Gad in the Beauty and the Beast remake is supposedly openly gay, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, and there was that, easily cuttable couple in the Star Wars 9.
Oh my god, that was so random.
That's
They're completely out of focus as well. It's like,
exactly.
This is
So that entire moment
tagged on.
It perfectly summarised the entire. I've heard it dubbed as passive progressivism, which I've loved. But the whole thing about Disney being like, look how woke we are. Look, they're gay, they're kissing. Disney, that's not relevant to the scene. No. Look, it's gay. Just enjoy it. The woke people like it. Oh, so when you export this to China, this is going to remain in. Oh, no. That's going to be cut. We just put incision around these 2 frames here. That's it. Just get it out, and then we can get that money.
Yeah.
But Disney, don't you want to support the LGBT cause and show solidarity with a large part of your audience? Oh no. We want money. Obviously, we want money. We don't care about you. Now buy our merch.
Yeah.
The other fuck Disney.
The other, in the Beauty and the Beast remake, the whole thing about Josh Gad, they made such a big deal out of it, but then it makes absolutely no difference to the story at all.
Yeah, there's no attempt to make a story about it. It's just there for the sake of ticking a box. Be like, look, this film involves it somewhere. Is it relevant? No, but it's there, so you can't complain. Therefore, we are woke.
But also, it's not like again, like if they export it to China, they can just pretend that he's not gay because it makes absolutely no fucking difference, and I feel like they've only said it because exactly to tick a box, and it's just so I don't know. It's just
same with Onward as well. In Onward, the openly gay character is literally a single line that implies it, and it's a superfluous line that could be cut because it doesn't really add very much at all.
Yeah,
it's very annoying.
I just think it's just tokenism, isn't it? In a way, I just feel like they've just plastered that put them in that box just to be in with the right crowd or whatever. It's like, well, whatever. Why don't they make a Disney princess film where the main princess is a lesbian then?
Yeah.
I mean, why not? It wouldn't
the
have
reason
any
why not is
effect.
because they can't export it to China.
Well, yeah.
And China will contribute like something between like a third and a half of their total profits or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, this isn't Disney obviously, but when we studied at A level, they said Transformers was like what the Transformers 4 was like 1 billion or 1.4 billion worldwide, and 300 mil was from China.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but it doesn't annoy me that like I mean, I don't know much about politics, but I mean, Disney is this mega corporation. They have so much loyalty. They're not going to easily go down at all. They're here to stay. Surely, if any company is going to take a stand against the Chinese government, be like, no, what you're doing isn't okay. We're going to make this. And if you want it, because you have people in China who want to see it.
Nick, I can't hear you over the sound of $300 million. Nick, I can't hear you. There's all this money in my ears. Sorry, let me try and oh no, there's more. There's $300 million $1 bills stuck in my ears.
Should see a doctor.
Yeah.
But like this, I mean, like, but see, this is exactly my point about Disney. Is if they actually genuinely cared about like LGBT rights and stuff like that, they have the loyalty of the fans. You know, they have the fan base, and they have the financial security as like to take that hit. If they want to be like, no, we're gonna make a film. We're gonna make a film for the 21st century. We're gonna have like gay main characters. The story's gonna be about them and like inextricably about being gay. And if you don't want to show that China, that's you're going to be disappointing all your audience, all your subjects. Which, I mean, to be honest, the Chinese government probably doesn't care about.
No.
But I mean, they could take a stand if they wanted to and be like, no, we're not going to take this anymore. You've got to change your ways and stop being evil. Yeah. Not that that would do anything.
No,
but the point is they could do it, and
they could, yeah, but they won't.
And they could, but like, think of all the points they could score as being like, look how good Disney is. Look how like they're supporting us. But no, they're like 300 mil. Nah, it's fine. We'll just bend to your will.
Gays, never heard of them.
It's also not Chairman Mao. It's what's it? Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what his name is. We have been banned in China already.
Is it like Xi Jinping or something?
It's Xi Jinping, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And to our Chinese listeners, hello from Tor Browser.
Yeah. I feel like that's enough of screaming at Disney.
Well, that ends correspondence. I think that's half the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you'd like,
if you want to say a comment and then have us bang on about Disney for half an hour, please email in.
Yeah, if you want to email in any reviews, which we'll then talk about something completely unrelated for half the episode. But yeah, if you would like to send in any topics of suggestion, any reviews, anything you'd like us to talk about, you can leave a comment on a YouTube video and we'll find it, or you can send us an email at cinerambles@gmail.com.
Cool. Well, we have a new segment, don't we, Nick?
We do. We have a new segment. And we like to call this segment 12 Andrew Men.
So, well, yeah. Not every week's segment will be called that, we should point out.
No.
So this is, Andrew's film education.
Yeah, broadly. Let's go with that. We can come up with a better name. But so basically, this was born out of the realization, which you may have seen occurring occasionally in episodes, where Andrew hasn't seen lots of the sort of what a lot of people term the classic films. Despite studying film at A-level and then getting a degree in film studies and just hanging out with me and doing a film podcast, and somehow not seen some of the sort of the quintessential sort of fundamental films of cinema.
Yeah.
So what we thought we'd do is we get Andrew to watch some of these films for the first time and sort of just give his thoughts on them as a first-time watcher, having still got this film education background and trying to see these classics for the first time without the sort of prior knowledge or whatever. And for me, because a lot of these sort of classics that we're going to be talking about are things I haven't seen for a long time, that I maybe watched when I first started getting into film when I was like 12 or 13 and haven't seen since. And so I might have just got no memory of them at all.
Yeah.
And so I'll also be giving my thoughts, watching them now again, coming back to them as an adult and seeing what I think of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so this week we did 12 Angry Men, or as Nick's now dubbed this section, 12 Andrew Men.
Absolutely. And that right there is that is the golden comedy that you're subscribed for. No refunds.
Okay, so 12 Angry Men.
Yeah, so for those who haven't seen it, 12 Angry Men is Sidney Lumet's debut feature from 1950. I want to say 7, might be 6. So the plot concerns this jury of 12 men who have to agree on the conviction of this young boy who supposedly stabbed his father. Suppose it's an open and shut case. There's been witness testimonies. They're sure he's guilty. And 11 of them say he is guilty, except one who's not sure and thinks they should maybe talk it out before they sentence this boy to death so quickly. And thus, they discuss it and things begin to unravel.
Yeah.
So, Andrew,
Yes.
What did you think of 12 Angry Men?
I thought it was brilliant.
Excellent. So did I.
I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely, you can tell it's an old film, obviously because it's black and white and completely different aspect ratio. It was very strange. I don't know if you saw the photo I sent you, but I was playing it.
You sent me a photo?
Yeah, the DVD. On my 4K TV, and it appeared in a tiny box in the center of the screen.
Oh.
That's just how I had to watch it.
Oh. I mean, you should probably change the settings on your TV if that's happening.
Yeah.
It is in 166:1, I believe, rather than 178. So it's a weird, it's an unusual ratio.
Yeah. But yeah, it was very good. The pacing it definitely starts very slowly and then picks up and just gets really tense, but also just really good. And I feel like the best part about it is definitely the script. It's brilliant. The writing is fantastic.
There's so many really satisfying moments of it.
Some bits where literally made me just be like, oh.
Yeah, is it the knife moment?
The knife moment
every
is
time,
absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh yeah.
But you know the bit.
It's such a great moment. Yeah.
The guy that's really angry about everything.
Yeah. Well, there's two of them, aren't there? Really.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the guy that gives up last, basically.
Yes.
I think he's called Juror 4. No, Juror 3.
I think it's 2 or 3. He's one of them. Yeah.
He's like absolutely 100% sure that this guy's guilty and he's not giving up, and he's argues the most, and he starts shouting at everyone, and there's one of my favorite bits was how he was like, oh, I'm absolutely sure because there's multiple witnesses who heard the fight go on between the boy who's accused and the dad who died. And they heard the boy shout, "I'm gonna kill you," or "I could kill you," or no, I think it's "I'm gonna kill you."
That's
and it's
right.
like someone who's known the boy their whole life, and it's like they're 100% sure it was his voice. And Henry Fonda, who's the main character, is like, well, we all say that from time to time. Oh, you're so annoying, I'm gonna kill you, or whatever. And the guy's like, oh yeah, but this guy is known to use a knife. He definitely, he wouldn't say that. They were shouting at each other. It was in a fight. And there's this, and then about, 20, 30 minutes later, there's this excellent bit where Henry Fonda just riles him up so much and, sets him up and like starts slagging him off. And he, juror number 3, jumps up and is like, oh, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, but you wouldn't actually kill me though, would you? It's just like, yes! Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I feel like somewhere on the internet exists an air horn dub of this film.
Yeah. You could make it, Andy.
Yeah. Just there's so many bits where you feel like there's an air horn going off somewhere, like. So another bit, I feel like it was absolutely amazing as well. Like towards the end, so there's this guy who's been, he's just like openly racist throughout, and he's one of them. He's like refusing to say that this guy's not guilty, all of the things, but he isn't like listening to reason. His only reason behind why he thinks this guy is guilty is because he's black. It's like that's like literally his whole reason.
Yeah, especially he's always like, those people always do that. They're always like that. This is how.
It's like he's like, oh, they can't help it. They're just born that way. They are just
exactly.
It's in their nature to be evil or whatever. And there's just this absolutely fantastic bit, and I feel like that scene alone is like so incredibly important for modern times, I think.
Yeah,
because they do this bit where like one by one, all of the other jurors stand up and walk away from the table, and just face away from him. And the guy's like shouting about it, this racist tirade, and they just stand up and walk away, and they just don't listen to him.
Yeah,
and it's so incredibly good because it completely breaks him.
Yeah,
And I
it's
just,
great to watch him just like trickle down slowly, sort of like you're losing pace of what he's saying as everyone leaves one by one.
Yeah.
Even the ones who are like who think he's guilty still,
Yeah.
like will not give him the time of day and
Yeah,
won't
I
give
just
in to
feel
him.
like
And it's
that's
just such a powerful moment.
It's so good. That bit again was just such an excellent moment in it, because it's like there's, especially in that moment, like through the other bits, like Henry Fonda and some of the other people have shouted back, and there's been like this rapport between them. But in that bit, it's like just this racist tirade. Like the absolute best way to deal with it is just ignore it, and he loses all of his power. And I just thought that bit in particular is so poignant nowadays, with, you know, loads of this stuff still going on, with especially with the internet and people banging on about it. And for some reason, that racist old man reminded me of Donald Trump. Can you wonder why?
I can't imagine why.
Yeah.
But I think in many ways it's quite ahead of its time socially as well, because if you think about it, the 50s is when the idea of a teenager was really entering the mainstream, and there's this big sort of ageism gap and like the sort of this fear of the youth.
Yeah.
You think things like Rebel Without a Cause, which had come out like maybe a couple of years before.
They also use kid as an insult as well. Like, oh, he's just a kid, you know?
A lot from the same character, but a lot of them do it as well. And there's a lot of ageism going on. Actually, both the young and the old, because there's the older juror who also gets like, you know, talked down to a lot and really malrespected.
Yeah.
All basically because he's like, oh, you're an old man, what do you know, kind of thing. And on the same level, they're like talking, oh, he must have done it, he's a kid. All kids are like that. They won't listen to their parents, they won't call me sir. All that kind of thing. I think it's really interesting. A film that was right on the forefront of that kind of time is making such sort of, make such a case about ageism and showing it in such a negative light.
But what amazed me as well was like the complete lack of racism, like the complete damnation of racism as well. Like,
and again for really time, early on in because that would be just at the beginning of the civil rights movement. Like it would be fresh out of the.
But there's absolutely no racial slurs at all, which blew my mind. Like genuinely blew my mind.
Yeah,
I thought he was gonna have this racial tirade and use racial slurs left, right, and centre, but he didn't. There was no racial slurs at all. That he was just said those people.
Yeah, but that's all you need, because the thing is, if you do a racial slur, most of them are generally about a specific type of person.
Yeah.
But because it says those people, it applies to any minority race or minority gender or minority anything.
Yeah.
It applies universally, that whole, and that's one of the things that works so well about the script of it.
Yeah. I thought, overall, absolutely brilliant. I strongly encourage anyone who hasn't seen it to watch it, even for just that scene, because that, again, like as I say, I think like so poignant and powerful for nowadays. Even still, like how many years ago?
So 57, so almost over 60 years old.
Yeah, over 63 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Like, that's amazing, isn't it?
So, on this watch through in particular, something that I really appreciate is the fact that besides the opening and like the last shot of the film, it's all in this one courthouse room.
Yes.
And there's the occasional diagram that we get seen as evidence to show because they discussed this case of this murder happening in a flat next to an L train line. And the fact is, I don't know about you, but I can so vividly see.
Yeah, me too.
Every aspect of that flat. I can see everything. I've got images of and we never see any of it.
Yeah.
For a film for a visual medium to paint such a vivid image in my head without actually showing me anything at all really about it, just through talking and describing it so well.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting how well it does that. And it creates like a world within its own world.
Yeah.
And
it's
and
absolutely
also
brilliant.
The way they just deconstruct the crime as well. It's like it takes so much skill as a writer to write a case that can on the front see so clear cut, but unravels so well. Just like such minor details. Like with the thing, the glasses is such a good one as well.
Yes,
that's another like
fantastic.
Shit kind of moment.
Yeah, like just the teardowns are fantastic as well. I think they're just so good.
Also, another moment that sticks out to me is when they recreate the walk out of the flat and they time it.
Yeah,
I imagine the time they give must be in real time for how long the shot actually took.
Yeah,
but I do love that because there's such suspense in it as well. Like you feel yourself counting along, trying to work it all out. And I love that you get so involved in the room with the whole investigation. You start thinking, theorizing, and even on my third viewing, I still don't remember all the facts and all the things they come up with. It's just a really well crafted film.
Yeah, it genuinely is. Everything about it is quality.
Yeah.
My only sort of issue with it is it ends quite suddenly, I think.
Yeah, I do think the end with the final juror being converted.
Yes. But he sort of, obviously
He
it's
sort of
like,
converts himself,
yeah,
but
he goes on,
it's
he's, shouting about people, and he's got the picture of his son in his wallet, and he rips it up, and then he's just like, oh, not guilty. And I was
yeah,
like, it sort of comes out of nowhere, you know?
it does feel a bit like we have to wrap this up now, kind of thing. Which is
Yeah,
strange because it's quite a short film.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I do agree. It's a slightly after everything that comes before it and how tense and sort of hard boiled it gets. How sort of it ends, yeah, quite abruptly.
yeah.
But yeah.
I do actually have a recommendation for you, Nick.
Oh yeah.
Because if you like that film, you would really like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf.
Oh yes, that is on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah, I think I've got it on DVD actually.
yeah. I mean, you should absolutely watch Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, because that is again, like, it's not. I mean, the play that it's based on is set in one room, or set in one house, I should say.
Yeah.
The film does move around, but it's still got the same feeling of the four characters trapped together in the same place with no one else, no other characters coming in, and it's just talking, and it's discovering what happened, blah blah, stuff like that, and it's
Yeah.
in a very similar vein, very very good. So
Okay.
that's a recommendation for you.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
So, I imagine I know the answer to this, but final verdict: do you think 12 Angry Men is worthy of being called a classic?
Absolutely, yeah, 100%.
Yep. Absolutely here as well.
Yeah.
Great.
I can't think of another courtroom drama, I guess, that is better than that. So yeah, I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But again, there's nothing. Well, I say there's nothing really like it. I've just suggested you something that's very similar to it. But I mean, in the like the court drama world, it's always about the lawyers and all that. It's like, it was very interesting to have something about the jurors who are just
who are just essentially, normal people from
Yeah.
various backgrounds
Yeah.
with no real law knowledge to try and figure this out.
yeah
And the fact they work out so much more than the real lawyers actually did or
Yeah.
refused to, that's, yeah.
I just also love how even the man, so juror 3 is an executioner.
Yes.
And that's like a big point. It's like, oh, why do you want this man to die so much? Are you the executioner? He's like, yes. I mean, I am an executioner. And he's like, so he's used to death, and he's used to killing or putting criminals to death. And it's like, so you can sort of see from his point of view, why he's like, I don't want to let someone who's a criminal go or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's just excellent morals to the film, and it just shows you deep down all 12 of them do have morals. Obviously, some of them have much lower morals than others, but it's like, at the end of the day, they are all human, and they all do have vaguely the same morals that can all be pulled together to protect an innocent person.
And it's interesting to see what is what item of whatever is the thing that tips off each juror into turning to innocent. And in particular, one that the moment I really like of that is the one who's desperate to go to the baseball game is like, whatever, it's innocent. And it's like, okay, well, are you saying innocent because you believe he's innocent or because you want to get out of here? Because if it's just the latter, don't say guilty if you mean guilty. Don't just change your mind because you don't care, because that's barbaric considering what we're talking about here. That's another really fantastic moment, and again, kind of ahead of its time in a way.
Again, that's what I was going to say, because I mean, that same character, the one who just wants to get out of there, the baseball fan, he again has a tirade because one of the other jurors is an immigrant, and he's like, oh, immigrants coming in taking our jobs, and it's like the immigrant man is so morally superior in every single way to him in that moment.
Plus, he's probably one of the most intelligent ones in the room.
Yeah,
as well. Like, he seems the most sort of like one of the wisest ones there, the one who can think through and actually knows what he's doing. While the others seem quite childish in many ways.
Yeah,
he seems like an actual adult.
yeah. Okay, so next week we're gonna
we're doing Lawrence of Arabia.
Lawrence of Arabia. which is long.
Yeah, so we're going from a 90-minute film to a 3.75-hour film.
Oh, Christ.
But yeah, and if you at home have any suggestions for films we should watch on 12 Andrew Men, let's call it that. Again, feel free to write in and email in, and we'll add them to the list, and hopefully we'll try and get through them. I don't know if we're going to do this every week. We'll probably do it most weeks, I imagine.
Certainly in lockdown, while it's easy to get round to watching a classic, then yeah.
Yeah? Okay, Andrew, I've got a question for you.
Okay.
You've seen Shawshank, right?
I have, yeah.
Have you seen The Green Mile?
I have, yeah.
Okay. Of the Frank Darabont directed prison movies based off Stephen King novellas of the 90s,
Yep.
because I noticed this the other day, which one do you think is superior?
That's an interesting question. I've seen Shawshank much more recently than I've seen Green Mile.
Okay.
But again, my gut reaction is to say Shawshank.
I imagine it's most people's reaction, because I know Shawshank sort of lauded as this absolute, like, best film of all time, whatever. But
I have actually been thinking, like, when I first watched Shawshank, I did, my first initial reaction was to say, this is not the best film of all time. But now I feel like I don't think it is the best film of all time, but it is fantastic. Like, it's genuinely brilliant, I think.
Yeah. Well, because we've both seen already, we're not going to talk about it on 12 Andrew Men. But I thought I feel like bringing it up in relation to Green Mile, so I might as well.
Yeah.
But like, because Shawshank to me, it's not a bad film, but it's a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
But like, for some reason, it just doesn't really like touch me on like a personal, like an emotional level, and I never really worked out why.
Have you seen Green Mile then?
I have seen. I prefer Green Mile, and Green Mile makes me cry.
Green Mile makes me cry as well. Like, definitely, yeah, 100%.
And I think Green Mile's. I mean, silly is probably the wrong word, but obviously it's not anywhere near as grounded in reality.
So that's what I was going to say. Like, I do think they're very similar, but what parts of them for me is the supernatural touch on Green Mile. I don't know. It just sort of takes it down a peg slightly.
It does,
as opposed to Shawshank. But then again, I haven't seen Green Mile in absolutely ages, so.
See, it's interesting because there's this idea about, like, can you have a film that's too perfect, like a film where it's sort of so good it doesn't, it's sort of, you don't really get into it. Like, well, the best films are flawed and they're ragged around the edges.
Yeah.
And it's because of their flaws that they somehow endear themselves to you. And I was wondering about maybe that's my problem with Shawshank Redemption. Maybe it is so good, it's so sort of like perfectly polished, but I just can't. It's like trying to like kiss a bar of gold.
Yeah.
Like I can't get emotionally invested in the bar of gold. Like,
Yeah.
Green Mile. It is flawed and it is a bit of a mess at times, but it has such more of, I don't know, not more of a heart, but I don't know. It gets to me more, and I think I like Green Mile more.
I tell you what, yeah, Green Mile. What I think Green Mile does better is it Percy, the prison guard, who's like an absolute piece of shit?
Oh my god.
He is a brilliant villain, more so than the guards in Shawshank are.
Yeah.
Because obviously the guards in Shawshank, he's an asshole, but he's not like Percy is, like Percy's at next level.
See, I wonder if there's something about, because Green Mile is a lot more of an intimate story, I feel. It's a lot smaller of a cast. It's a lot smaller in scale.
Yeah. And
it feels a lot more intimate, interconnected in that. And maybe that's why it emotionally resonates more. While Shawshank, it's a massive prison. It's just like an army of guards who are all brutal. There's loads of prisoners and they all have their own little moments and stories and relationships. And there's the main guy.
Yeah.
He's not a bad villain by any means, but he doesn't, unlike like you were saying with Percy, who really you care about in the sense that you hate him so much because you have a much more personal connection to hate him for.
Yeah.
Well, the warden in Shawshank's all just, he's a corporate dick, and so he's just not as I don't know. He's harder to hate in some ways because he just doesn't have that same
Yeah.
intimate connection with the characters.
Also, Percy
I mean,
absolutely gets under your skin, doesn't he? He makes your skin
I mean, he's
crawl. Like he's
genuinely like fucked in the head as well with the stuff he does.
yeah. Whereas the warden, but also the warden at some point protects Andy Dufresne, doesn't he?
Yeah,
From the creepy German rapey
from the
man.
sisters. Yeah.
Was he German? I don't remember.
European certainly.
Yeah. I think that's a good point, actually. Just speaking about it now makes me want to watch Green Mile again, because you raise a good point.
It's a great film. It's strange as well because in many ways they're not hugely similar, but then in some ways they are. I don't know.
I think you're right about scope as well. Like, Shawshank takes place over what, like 30 years?
Yeah,
Or is it
something like that as well.
20? It's 19 years, I think.
It's like it
Whereas
starts in the 40s, doesn't it, and then goes to the
60s,
70s.
possibly.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah. Whereas Green Mile's just on death row, isn't it? And it's
Yeah.
not
I remember one of the first things I learned in screenwriting at uni was when you write your story, make it take place over the shortest possible time frame. Like if there's any way you can compress the length of time your story, do it. Because the longer stretch your story takes up, the less sort of impact it will have in a way. And I think that maybe there's some of that in Shawshank. You're right, because that is a long story in terms of just the time frame.
Also, I feel like, I mean, it's strange for a Stephen King thing, but not enough bad happens to Andy Dufresne.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean, like obviously there's bad stuff, like the people constantly beat him up, and he spends however long in solitary.
Yeah.
But that's nothing compared to what the people in Greenbelt go through, is it?
Yeah, that's true.
And what do you think about the endings?
I
mean, classic Stephen King, of course, famously can't do a good ending. What do you reckon?
No. Well, so I can only vaguely remember the ending of Green Mile. Shawshank's ending is obviously quite famous.
Yeah.
And I don't know, really. Again, because I feel like it's supposed to be this big emotional moment that makes you cry and, really touches humanity.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it just doesn't... It never really did a huge amount for me.
The only thing with Shawshank, so Red, who's Morgan Freeman. Is he Red? Is Red, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, Andy Dufresne, he goes to prison for a crime he didn't commit. So he's morally pure. Whereas Red probably did go to prison for the crime he committed. Which means for the whole film, you're like, oh, yes, he may be a mass murderer, but cool, he's fine by me.
I thought Andy Dufresne did kill his wife.
No, he didn't. He got set up for it.
Was he set up by the warden?
I don't know if it was by the warden, but he was set up. I think the whole thing is that he didn't do it. I'm interested to read the book as well. Maybe we could do a fundamental.
Hey, but I've been thinking a lot about that sort of being too perfect recently.
Yeah.
Because Annihilation, but I bring it up a lot. But Annihilation, it's a film I feel like I wouldn't give it more than 8 out of 10 usually. And there's a lot of things wrong with Annihilation. But it almost feels like because of the things that are wrong with it, it endears itself more to me. And the same with Blade Runner, which I absolutely love. A massively flawed film. There's things that are objectively wrong with it in a lot of ways. And yet it might be one of my favourite films of all time.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if there is something about having a film that's that has is rough around the edges, that has flaws, that makes it better, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, there's charm to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people... I mean, you're probably onto something, because that's why a lot of people like the really terrible horror films.
Well, yeah, exactly. They're sort of so bad it's good. So maybe they're so good it's bad.
I don't know, because that is interesting. See if you can think of any others that are so good that they're just impenetrable.
I shall, actually, yeah. I think that's the right word, impenetrable. It just feels like you can't... There's no way into them. There's no sort of... I don't know. It feels wrong to say the process, because that's a different thing entirely.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's an interesting idea. But I will muse on it and see if I can come up with like a list of films I think are too good.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. There you go.
Okay, I think we'll call it there for this week's Ciné Rambles podcast. You've been listening to Nick.
And Andrew.
And if you'd like to contact us, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/CinéRamblesOfficial. You can follow us on Twitter at Ciné Rambles. You can send us an email at cinerambles@gmail.com. And for more content, you can read the blog over at cinerambles.blogspot.com. And there will be a new post there soon. I am working on it. Promise.
Did you say that last week?
Shut up, Andrew. I will replace you. Have you got any closing remarks then?
I am irreplaceable. I mean, evidently not. I've already been replaced once.
Yeah. You're on thin ice, mate.
No.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
For the last time.